all right. Yes, we are in the building. We are back, blazing again with hot stock talk and live commentary. This is the Unique Trading Group, and I am your coach, UV. I'm so glad you guys clicked on this video tonight. This will be your weekend edition to prep you for next week. This is your weekend edition to prep you for next week. Podcast style, right? For the stock market. Specifically today, we are going to be focusing on gold, Tesla, and SPY. You guys have been watching for a while, so you know that SPY is one of the favorite stocks for me to talk about. And of course, gold as a hedge is a correlation stock with SPY. SPY goes down, gold goes up. And so I like to talk about gold to see where it's at in order to give a little bit more confident direction on SPY. And of course, Tesla, as you all know, last week, I dropped an amazing video called Race Theory. Race Theory was about range, auction, execution, and control. All right. And I wanted to recap that video because Tesla played out exactly to the T, and SPY as well. We got a little bit of momentum on SPY to the up and the downside, but ultimately we didn't go anywhere. We stayed in a range, and it did exactly what I expected it to do based on my preparation. And the same thing with Tesla. I'm going to toggle over there real quick. Tesla did the same thing last week. I had a girl in the group chat inside of the unique trading group chat. And by the way, that link is down below in the description. If you want to join a thriving community, I suggest you tap that link below because we learn, we teach, and you guys can grow. Trading is a business. Always remember that. But there's a lady in the Discord, hell of a hustler. I put out a post. I asked, is anybody ready? Is anybody ready for some things, okay? And this is what we got, all right? This is what we're going to get, okay? 1 second as I navigate this screen. All right. We are going to go to the Stock Talk engagement, all right? Inside my Discord here, last week, recap from last week, I gave out guidance for Tesla, all right? We had a student make about $2,000 in less than 30 minutes, man. I'm so happy for her. This is why I do this. I do this because I want people to know that this is something you can scale and you can be consistent with. If you stick to a plan and have a setup that you do, all right? This is not about throwing your money all over the place. This is about having a setup, all right? High probability setups, A+ setups, things that play out over time, and protecting your money, protecting your risk so that you can stay in the game for a long time. Not throwing all of your money out there at one trade, trying to get rich in one trade. It's a marathon. So you play small sizes to get big winners. How do you do that? With A+ setups, because volume and volatility is present. And so I say that to say this lady right here, this young lady, hell of a hustler, she understands that, all right? She understands that. I put out a post. I said, does anybody want this content? All right? I said 2 or 3 setups for Tesla and SPY. I said, I want video. I got video footage ready for you. I put that post out in the Discord. Somebody said content, please, the young lady. And I did a matrix thing, you know, just to have fun in the Discord, right? I said, okay, I'm plugged in, all right? I dropped that video same night. All right, here we go. That's that video in front of you. And the things that I said played out. And what do you know? Okay, I gave out guidance. And this young lady here, she just hit it out of the park. Okay, she hit it out of the park. She definitely made about 2K. And I posted it, and I'm proud of her. Tesla ripped right out of the gate, right up my numbers, 295.25, first market open. Couldn't even get a pullback, man. And sometimes you catch these momentum trades, and you got to take advantage of it when you do. And that's what proper preparation does for us when we prepared. All right, proper preparation prevents poor performance. And what do we have here? All right, right in front of us is SPY. All right, we're gonna go to the weekly time frame. Start on the weekly time frame for the bigger picture, right? The bigger time frame. I got a juicy video for you guys, so stay tuned. All right, to the end of the video. We're gonna try to make this short and sweet. Remember, SPY, Tesla, and gold. All right, and maybe a couple of market eternals and the fear and greed index to close the video out. SPY is at a very pivotal moment, all right? We have a V-shaped recovery, all right? There's a V-shaped recovery on SPY. We're going to turn on the candlesticks, all right? We've seen V-bottom recoveries, right? Here's a V-bottom, right? Right over this way, that's a V-shape. Here's a V-shaped recovery. Price continued to the upside. here's a V shape. We continue to the top here, but we pull back, bounce off of 21, but we still continue. All right, and we can see these a lot right here. We made a V shape. We still, just like before, rejected this top and fell back again to the 21 before retesting these highs. All right, and we continue to downtrend around, you know, these big dynamic moves we've been having for the past couple of months since Trump been in office. And now we are up to speed here with another V-shaped type recovery. Okay, but now we haven't quite reached the highs of here, but we do have highs above here in the 21. As you all know, if you watch my channel, I like to use a moving average called the 21 EMA, and it's my trigger, right? I like to use it as a high probability call trigger, a trade trigger rather. If prices be above the gray line, let me move it up a little bit so you guys can see. If price is above this gray line, I want to take trade to the upside. And if trade is below it, I want to be thinking to the downside. Now, not only is it a trigger for me to take a trade, but when price falls away from it, I use it as a magnet to retrace back to, whether it's uptrending and falling back to retrace for a pullback before it continues upside, or it's falling down and retracing back to the bottom of the 21 before it, you know, eventually rejects and falls back down. And that brings me to an interesting point. Before I get into what I have here, this big yellow line and these pendulum swings I know you see here. All right, right now we are at a very pivotal point for SPY. We need to break above these ranges on the weekly time frame. All right, I gave these ranges out on a previous video. All right, you can check out that link right above there. All right, and we need to break these range for high probability setups. But next week we have more earnings in the market. All right, we have more economic data. Check out www.forexfactory.com. This information comes out and it affects price, and so it's good to be aware of it so that you understand, or maybe have something in your tool belt to say, okay, this event causes volatility, meaning when news comes out, price moves. Me and you as retailers who are not millionaires, all right? No, I'm not a millionaire, all right? I will be, all right? I'm manifesting that energy for the things that I know, right? But we don't move those markets the same way that the big banks do. But I want to trade like them, trade with the flow, trade like water, and I understand structure, price action, and what could happen. And so I am very, very aware of this news that could come out that could affect price. And so that's what I want to know coming out. And so what do we have right now? Right now, what we have is we have a range above 571 here at the top of a range and the bottom 556. All right, we are in between, and right now we are below the 21. I don't know what can happen between now, the time of this recording, 4 p.m. on a Sunday, right? And anything could happen between now and market open with Trump tweets or, you know, the China and the tariff talks and things like that. We have earnings and, like I said before, economic data. These things can create volatility, meaning major price swings. So don't get caught, guys. Be very, very careful. All right, be very careful. I am very bullish on the market. I say so myself. And we are on the weekly. I'm very bullish, but we got to be cautious. All right. I'm not saying that we can't pull back. I'm saying that I'm bullish. I'm embracing a pullback. More specifically, get your pencil and your paper or your pen, all right, or rewind it back so you can catch this, all right? But we need to stay above 560, period, all right? The market closed at 564.34 on SPY. We need to stay above 560 as a demand level. Demand meaning a floor where you stand up at, right? Price continues to the upside, like right here. Check out my cursor. This is demand. Even though if you never heard that word as a beginner, I'm telling you what it means. Demand means a place in price on this stock chart right here, this whole screen, a place on the screen where price moves up. There's a place of demand. There's a demand for price. And buyers and the sellers are agreeing right here. So we have flow. All right, demand, all right? When there's enough supply and people are taking their profits from price moving up, people take their profit and the market has to go back down to reset like a video game. All right. Now back right here. We need to get above 565 as a midway point because that's my 21 call trigger. This 21 call trigger is going to show itself on a smaller time frame. Right now we're on a weekly. I'm going to put a purple line right here, a horizontal purple line right on that 21 EMA. Okay, let's change it to purple. And I want to see that same purple line on a smaller time frame like the 30-minute, the 15-minute, the hour, or the 4-hour. It doesn't really matter. But I'm going to go down to a smaller time frame because right now we're on a bigger time frame, the weekly. And I like to do a breakdown, all right? So we just break down the time frames and do a chart markup, all right? So I want to see that same purple line. Now that purple line represents the 21 EMA for the weekly. Don't forget that. Don't forget that, okay? Now, what is these pendulum swings here, all right? What is this that I have on my screen, okay? First of all right, not only do I have that, but I have a volume profile, okay? This is a volume profile. In order to be a trader who uses something that's consistent, volume is present. You need volume. You need follow through. That's how price moves with volume. You need enough volume for things to follow through. Other than that, you just have technical setups and patterns that you notice. Whether that's M shapes, W shapes, bull flags, bear flags, hammer candles, inside candles, whatever you use, whatever term you've been learning over the years, the fact of the matter is you need volume to follow through. And I want to stress that before I continue. This video is a very valuable one if you listen closely to someone who's seasoned. I want you to understand that trading is not about making money. It's about the process. You have to get that process together in order to get that profit. And volume matters because that's one of the things, if not top 1 or 2, it has to happen as confirmation right before you get into your trades. Now, I don't necessarily, look and watch for volume to move or something to move. But what I'm saying is I've been doing it for so long is that these gold and blue bars represent volume. And the major volume is the bigger gold bars. And once I see smaller volume, these are what they call low volume nodes, like vacuums. And if price suck between them, right, low volume, like right here, these act as a vacuum for price to shoot up to the upside. And depending on the shape of the volume profile, it tells you certain things, certain sentiment of the market, all right? What is the sentiment and what is volume telling you? Volume profile, we're profiling the volume. Where's the big volume at and where is it low at? This has something to do with implied volatility and emotional swings in the market. The market is human behavior, okay? And you do have pendulum swings. And so this big old Pac-Man-like thing you see here in yellow, all right? See this big megaphone, like at a sports game, all right? What you have is price that swings back and forth to these pendulum swings, okay? And the market wants to rotate. And that's where we are right now, okay? In the swing of things, we're inside of that. And so next week, we want to see price open up above the previous close. We want price to open up above the previous close. SPY needs to open up above 564.34 in order to see bullish continuation to the upside. Wait for higher lows and higher highs to be created on any pullback. So market structure is present. Stay in your trade and reach for your next targets. You can use the ATR or you can use previous highs. And that's what I see happening. A break of these measures, all right? And so before I move on, let's move over to the 4-hour, all right? And 561 needs to hold on SPY, okay? 561.49 needs to hold on the daily time frame on SPY. 561.49 on the daily, all right? On the weekly, 565.16 is a call trigger, all right? I'm going to get inside of some calls, all right, at 565.16 for me to take a trade up towards 570, all right? Because 570 is a danger, 560 is a danger zone for people who want to trade towards the upside. All right, bear with me as I navigate the screen. Okay. All right, we are on the 4-hour time frame. What do we have here? We are above the 21. We're making a bull flag. We are trying to attempt to break these highs, this neckline, okay? All right, we are inside of a nice area, all right? This same red and green line with the range on the weekly, remember? And I tell you guys, remember that purple line? Here's that purple line right here. That purple line was the, what? Remember the weekly 21 trigger, all right? And price is now below that, but it is above the 21 on the 4-hour time frame. So let's take another purple line and put it on the 4-hour 21. Let's make that a yellow line. Let's see how far we go down in time frames to a shorter time frame to see where these colors and this price action plays out to form our entries and our exit. Now we're going to the 1 hour. We just left the 4 hour. All right. Now we are above the 4 hour 21. All right. In theory, that's what we are doing. All right. But we are making lower highs but higher lows. And so we are clearly in a decision moment, guys. Tomorrow, what I want to see happen is inside of this spiking channel, we have this range, price going up and down, up and down, up and down. What I want to see is trapping in liquidity here for maybe a 1-2 try failure, the same way we did here, okay? The same way we did right here, okay? This is a possibility. If we don't get one of these, okay, we could get one of these, all right? What we could do is we can make a V bottom, all right? All right, make a V bottom, all right? Don't chase it, don't chase it, don't chase it here. Wait for a pullback to do one of these, all right? This is called a V and grind and slow grind, all right? All right, there's another scenario, all right? All right, ultimately, at the end of the day, I want the best setups, and so I want to take a break above 570 if we can ever get there, and I want to take a put to the downside if we break below 560, 559, all right? These, right, 561 and 560 is a line in the sand for me to say, okay, we got to watch out for ourselves because we're breaking down. And anything below here, you know, around this area, 5 below 560, 556, 555, you know, these are targets and they act like magnets. And if we break below them, we can see massive flush to the downside, all right? So whichever one we get first, that's what I see so far on SPY. So get ready, because we have higher time frame confirmation of continuation to the upside. And so I'm ready to see what happens. I'm ready to see what happens with these swings. It's going to be very, very interesting. Now, let's go to Tesla. All right, we are on Tesla. What I think about Tesla, all right? All right, listen, Tesla above 305.98. 305.98 is my call trigger for Tesla. 305.98 is my call trigger for Tesla. We break above that, we are going to shoot to the upside. And my first target is 320, 325. But the first peak is going to be 317. Now I'm going to repeat that. I'm super bullish on Tesla. 305.98 on the weekly, using a weekly time frame. We are right now on the 4 hour. Let's go ahead to the weekly so you can see. All right. I like what I see on Tesla's chart. We are in a downtrend on Tesla. However, we have bullish momentum. Sometimes you can have mixed signals, but those mixed signals don't have to be complicated. It just means that you have a momentum shifting price action happening. This on a higher time frame and a smaller time frame. They're both doing different things, but they work together. What's the strongest? The bigger time frame. So it's the granddaddy of them all. I want to use the bigger time frames to dictate my direction, and I want to use the smaller time frames to dictate my entries and exits. All right, that's what we're doing here. So buy calls here at 305.90 on the weekly. Of course, this is the weekly time frame. If you go to a daily 4 hour or a 1 hour time frame on Tesla, you can do the same thing, all right? You can do the same thing. I got this 305.98 number from the high of this candle right here, the most current candle on the weekly. That number is the high. That wick, all right? That wick represents the high of Tesla's highest price from Friday, okay? That wick, all right? That's what that is, okay? And so you could do that on any time frame. And so if you want to get a more cleaner entry, like to get in more earlier before the weekly, if you feel like that's a more higher time frame, toggle down to the 4 hour or the hour. Me, myself, I personally like to use the 4 hour as my day trading mechanism for Tesla. It's a very powerful thing. Me and a couple of other traders and some YouTubers as well love to use the 4 hour on Tesla. Now, before you get super bearish or super bullish, understand that because we have a smaller time frame and a higher time frame bias, like two different things are happening, and then they're giving you two different signals. And if we're using a bigger time frame to get our direction and a smaller for our entries and exits, then you have to do analysis on the 1 hour, 15 or the 30 minute to understand what's going on. All right. And what do we have here? Well, I do see a bull flag. We have broken out. All right, we have broken out. All right, and so what I want to say is I want to look for a pullback. I want to look for a pullback towards 294. 294 is a place for bounce. If we break below 294, it could get very, very ugly for Tesla to retest 280s, all right, in the 280s, all right? Just be aware of that. Be aware that we could do some things, all right? All right, and so below 294, 293, all right? I want to stress that this could be a point where they can shake out traders who are afraid, because 290 is a demand spot. All right, 290 is a demand spot, so that could be a place where people take their profits from any type of downside movement on Tesla. All right, and remember, we're on an hour time frame. Okay, yep, exactly. All right, this is the volume profile, and the volume profile is telling me, all right, this is what you need to understand. 298.44. All right, 298.44 is where Tesla needs to be. Tesla needs to be at 298.44. Next week is going to be your call trigger. Next week to go to the upside, an algo push. Remember, I use the open and close dynamics for the weekly and the daily. I do it on SPY on any stop. So right now, Tesla closed at 298.26. If we open above 298.26 on Tesla next week on Monday and stay above it, we are bullish. I'm thinking to the upside, and I want to retest the highs. All right, taking some profit during the daytime. If I'm able to day trade, and as it pull back, I want to buy the dips, but I'm out of the trade. If I'm not holding it and adding to a winning position, then I'm getting out and buying back in. Two different ways of trade. But ultimately, 298 needs to hold. And 298.26, price has to be above that to be bullish. If we open up below it, I'm bearish, and I want to target these lows, especially below 296.73 on the hour time frame. 296.73 is a put trigger for Tesla. 296.73, and I want to take this to 294, which is not a good, a big risk to reward, maybe a 2. But hey, I'm just giving you signals if you want to scalp. All right, you got to secure profits there, because we're going to be bouncing on the 21 for a bear trap. All right, for a pullback, because we do have a series of higher lows. Remember, we talk about this all the time. You guys should know this by now. Simple higher highs, all right, and higher lows. We do have higher lows and we have higher highs. All right, and so it's bullish structure. Tomorrow, Monday, could be a great day for Tesla, for us to pull out and get past their 300 and start hitting targets like 317, which is a peak for Tesla. But I'm telling you, 305.98. If we get past that and hit that, and that holds as the demand, as support for us to go to the upside, and price supports that level, 305.98. I'm targeting 320 for a swing trade for 4 to 8 weeks. If we can see continuation for this towards the end of the week and hold these same prices, I want to swing Tesla for 4 to 8 weeks towards 320 to 325. It could happen before then, but that's just in my mind how much I want to hold it. And if I buy multiple contracts, right, even if I do that in separate brokerage accounts, I can simply just sell some of those for a profit and be more up in my profit and loss account. All right, so that's Tesla for you in a nutshell. I cannot wait for that. Quickly, here's gold. All right, gold is looking really nice. Why do I say that? We are in a pivotal moment. I am on a daily on gold. All right, we are in the midway point for gold. Now, remember I said that gold and SPY correlates together in a certain way. I mentioned that in the beginning of the video. What does that mean? Well, inflation and recession fears, all right? The news comes out, whether you want to believe it or not. The news is traumatic for certain people, and the price action you see on the screen is human behavior. You can do your studying on this. This video is not for that. But I like to drop gems and say certain things that you can go back and study, all right? This presentation of stock market with Coach UV and the Unique Trading Group is more like a podcast, live commentary and stock talk. I just so happen to give out signals. I give out guidance. All right. I've wrote a book called The Power of Paytience. Subtitle is Mastering Emotions and Trading While Turning Discipline into Income. This is my book that I wrote for the trading community. Very valuable book that you can get down below in the description. All right, uvthegreat.gumroad.com. Get you a copy. Join the Discord below. Subscribe to the channel and hit that like button if you've been enjoying the video. enjoying the video thus far. Now back to gold. All right. When it comes to recession and interest rates fears, right? News comes out. It's very traumatic, right? And so when people say there's going to be a recession and the market is going to crash, they run to gold. All right. Gold is like a safe haven, just like the bond market, the TOT market. All right. All right. And so they run to gold and they say, well, hey, we're going to put our money in gold because we can't trust the equity markets. All right. We can't trust SPY, the NASDAQ. Right. So they run to gold. So when gold goes up, SPY goes down. And when gold goes down, SPY goes up. You can check that by simply hovering over these candles, looking to the bottom and seeing the date. When did this candle happen? Oh, April 22nd, 2025. Then you can go check SPY on that same day. And since gold is a green bar, you can see if SPY is a red bar on the same day to see if it's going the opposite. All right. And so if it's true, this gives you a back testing point of view, and you can try to paper trade this with confidence and or your leisure. Try this with real money to see if when gold goes up, SPY goes down. And once you get into measuring moves like ATR movements or ranges 1, 2, and 3 of the auction theory, which I teach, once you understand ranges, you have a setup structure, define risk, entry, and exit, all in one setup. Very simple of a click and a glance at the screen. And that's what we have right now. So looking at the screen on the daily, what do you think can happen with gold? Right now, we are in an indecision moment. These are the Heikinashis. If I get a green Heikinashi like this one and or like this one, pops above inside of my V shape, I'm going to be looking for calls to the upside to retest these highs. And I'm going to be looking for the SPY to fall, all right, to the levels that I gave out early in the beginning. If gold falls below, I'm going to be looking for a push towards 302, and from 302 there is critical levels below on gold, and so I'm going to be looking for SPY to rally if we do get that. And bear with me as I navigate the screen because we have a little bit of freezing here, I see. All right, and I appreciate you guys rocking with me thus far to the end of the video. You know, it's been a valuable journey getting to where I am to be able to give you guys this, and so I really appreciate you taking the time to listen to these videos, and I hope that it's giving you value, you and your family, to help out, to soak some of this information in. And if you have any questions about anything you don't understand, feel free to leave a comment below and message me. I talk back. All right, and I am not a financial advisor. I'm only a mentor and coach to some, and I would love to have you in the Discord. All right, so what do we have here on the 1 hour with the candlesticks? We have price in between my X marks the spot, all right, inside of the down V momentum shift. All right, and so with this said, I do see gold going down. We have lower highs, which is bearish structure. All right, remember we talked about that. Simple things you learn when you first begin to trade that always are prevalent no matter how far or what journey you are in your trading. Okay, so you have these bearish structure. All right, so I see gold falling back down towards 297, especially 298. We're going to start shooting down on gold. 304, and we're going to go to 302 really quickly, and we're going to see people start to unload from taking profits from here. So SPY could rally. We're going to get a rally in SPY. This just in. We could see a rally next week. This is live. Wow. This weekend is a prominent weekend. We are going to be prepared for next week, guys. I think I'm going to wrap that video up there. Last but not least, here is the volume profile that I promised earlier. I will show you these shapes here. Okay, listen, we have a P-shaped volume profile, right? The volume profile is a dynamic tool that displays volume and price information for order flow traders. While the patterns of volume profiles may initially appear random, they are a recurring shapes that can potentially provide insight into market direction, support and resistance zones, reversal areas, and more. Below are 4 common volume profile shapes and how order flow traders can interpret them. All right, I'm just going to give you one for now. We'll do some later. I thank you guys for watching thus far. All right, make sure to hit that like button. All right, hit that bell notification so you can be updated when I drop videos like this. This P-shaped volume is a bullish pattern. It's a bullish shape, and I see one of those shapes on some of your favorite stocks. All right, you can take a screenshot of this. I will not read this. Wanted to give you a glance real quickly. All right, short covering rallies can occur, and I see this shape on one of your favorite stocks. All right, let's keep some mystery with this. This has been an edition of the weekend video from Coach UV, brought to you by the Unique Trading Group. All right, if you found this video valuable at all, do me a favor, make sure you share the video with any friends or any family that you might find wants to learn about trading, wants to learn anything about investing. All right, for someone who's been in the game for a while, I'll gladly have them so that I could give them everything I know from the bottom of my heart. All right, and until the next time, guys, peace.